Hi, my name is Xiaoning. Today I'm gonna talk about the digital story project. So the first part will be the masculinity narrative. Even though there are steps that countries such as the US have taken to promote gender equity, the fact that the difference still persists even in modern culture. It is not shocking for one to notice the credit that women receive for small achievement but for a man. The family and the society demand significant results. For example, women get faced for ensuring their room is tidy. In the community, it is the man who has to handle difficult job without any recognition from the community despite the effort that is required. Men receive negative comment in the streets when they try to act weak or even shed tears due to the notion of masculinity. Growing up, I have taken part in games that are masculine, such as playing with toys and taking up leadership roles. As an Asian young man, I have experienced the social pressure on a boy child that has shaped my masculinity today. Masculinity had immense impact, both positive and negative, as described in the narrative essay. Firstly, when I joined high school, I realized that I didn't want my parents and particularly my mother to kiss me or hug me in front of my friends and other boys. Most young boys consider it a weakness that they referred as a mama's boy. Showing affection and a lot of attachment to parents was something that would result in emotion bullying in school and the street. It's true when without saying that masculinity requires males, no matter their age, to show that they are strong in all aspects. Even though it is not a written rule, crying in public or another form of weakness is not allowed to social expectation. I never wanted to look weak, and even through I would miss my mother and appreciate her cases, I had to object that I would fit in the high school groups. There are things that I still had no confidence to engage in, such as attending parties and asking girls out. As an Asian, I did not have the courage, and the society stereotyping that Asians are quiet and focused in study ruled me out in many social gatherings. In this case, masculinity had adverse effecting on my life and it lowered my self-esteem, especially when socializing with female, besetting following the social expectation for men to be strong. I grew up avoiding affection from family. There are days when I feel down that all I wanted was to cry on my mother's shoulder and have her tell me that all is well. However, I would hide my feeling and cry in my room, then console myself and that it would be okay. Even today, I found it hard to expose my feeling openly and through masculinity adversely impact my ability to myself when with others. Additionally, masculinity affects my confidence when interacting with other people because I feel that I was not good enough. For example, I have always had a passion for football, and I was excited in high school that I would have the opportunity to join the team and even play on the campus. When I went to the field and asked some boy about the school football team, the response crossed my dream. All they said that football was not for the weak and that one had to some physical appearance alongside popularity. Considering my background as an Asian, I believe the stereotyping about Asian that they are soft and that games such as football are not common in the region even through this notion has recently changed. The masculinity about men have certain appearance influenced my confidence and it took a lot of time to rebuild my courage to pursue my goals. However, despite the negative impact of masculinity had on my life, it has also contributed to my strengths and values. While experiencing confidence in school, I feel that even though I didn't want to appear weak by crying on my mother's shoulder, I would talk to someone who understands. My dad turned out to be not just a father but my mentor and role model. The first masculinity feature displayed by my father in his ability to be control of his life. He acts as a leader and speaks with wisdom. For example, when I approached him about how I felt being rejected in the school team, he talked about self-acceptance, persistence and focus on positive energy. He mentioned that being a man is persisting on what I want, not giving up and work hard to achieve my goals. The value are evidence from his action and through observation. My father worked hard to ensure that his family is happy, and most of need are met. Besides, I have learned that being masculine is all about success and achievement as well as living a life of making personal feelings. Masculinity position men as a leader, and this undisputed sense most leadership positions are held by men who are also valued family member. Through my father masculine action of taking up leadership role and working toward a purpose motivated and shaped my value. What is more, masculinity has influenced my career goals and plans. Watching the kind of masculine characteristics that my father displays, I'm a motivated individual who likes to stand out in all challenges that I undertake. Masculinity has helped me ensure the opportunity to study abroad due to good grade and pressure to have a good career. I have managed to overcome the feeling of weakness and work on my self-esteem. Today, I'm a confident individual with the ability to approach an employer to present my qualifications that what I can offer to secure a job. Besides, I have preferred my communication skill to reflect a leader. For instance, I have the courage to speak with authority and through. I speak when necessary, when through it might not be what others believe in, but I speak my mind. Personal aspiration is one of the qualities that display masculinity, says it's different a person that gives them a voice. So I have learned the significance of combining my communication skills with the confidence to overcome my weakness. Also, masculinity is the most associated with hard labor that taking great risk. I still believe that life is about taking risk, embracing change that working to overcome new challenges. Therefore, it's without a doubt that masculinity has shaped my life in various ways. Even though the company pressure on male has had a negative impact in some part of my life, such as display of affection, it has helped establish the person I am today. Masculinity challenged my confidence in playing football, but later the encounter helped me build confidence. Also through masculinity feature displayed by my father, I managed to learn and grow my values through his guidance. Finally, based on my experience and understanding of masculinity, I want to study and research on the question how deeply masculinity affects men in shaping their personality from the perspective of behavioral, psychological, and mental health. So it's come to the second part of the project, is the research and the report. Masculinity consists of a set of social beliefs that are used to describe men. The beliefs depict how a man should be or how they should behave. It's encouraging that these assumptions are slowly adjusting as a result of the modern day open-minded approaches. Many scholarly articles have been written on this subject, concentrating on different subtopics. And my thesis statement is masculinity is a concept that creates an assumption what a man is and forms the basis of their behavioral, mental, and psychological well-being. So we come to the first part, the research result I want to talk about is the relationship between man and masculinity. Social perceptions has always been shaped by rigid assumptions that has been there since the beginning of the time. Masculinity and femininity has been emphasized since the beginning of recording human history. This is an issue that is only addressed by this generation because the many social changes that has taken place. This is a quote from Anderson. Most historical recording indicates that there was an emphasis on gender roles, which played a significant role in shaping masculinity. For instance, there was this distinguished line between what a man was supposed to do and the definition of being a lady. Masculinity presumably defines manliness, which is a set of behavior and roles that boys and men must be associated with. It's evidence that social expectations are flexible. They were developed from person perception and adopted as practice. This is quote from American Psychological Association. Masculinity is therefore very distinct from male biology sex definition. While being biology is fixed, masculinity is variable in different cultures, but there are general attributes that are shared across all culture. Myth, culture setting, and religion all have a direct influence on masculinity, and even the talks form of its because of the emphasis on gender role and even consequence on one who does fulfill expectation. For instance, the respect of a man as the head of the family in culture and the religion means that a man is expected to be strong decision maker and lies despite of emotions. Most of the masculinity behavior shared among cultures has been considered typical and unquestionable. Parents has been known to guide the gender of their children using these stereotype attributes with face like "That's my boy" when a male child does something considered manly. This is quote from the Emily Lee Dorian King. Boys would grow up with the knowledge of what they are supposed to do or not because it's familiar with all our society. At one point in history, the concept of being in the company of a man was used in trying to shape a boy to a man by enabling them to learn and copy what man did. The expectations were not limited by age. A baby boy was expected to start following the manly behavior immediately they come of age. Many historical stories indicate how men were celebrated. Some were apologists for heroism because they engaged in manly activity like going to war at a young age. Here comes the second part of the research result for masculinity and mental development in males. Many boys understand that they are expected to grow into men. Sometimes this is not the case, but those who do not do so can testify that they can discrimination and even violence from society. The modern day society is lucky enough to have sexual fluidity, which has led to extensive research on the subject and public sensitization on the effort of masculinity. This is quote from Gilpin and Prologues. In the male egocentric driving centuries, any doubtful behavior from a certain gender would result in punishment or being termed mentally ill. These are records of males who suffered from being different or being gay as they were sent to asylum for treatment. When analyzing psychological impacts of masculinity to the male gender, there's much to worry about that hope that things will entirely change. For instance, it must have been hard for the less masculine boys and men decades ago as they faced open discrimination, name calling, and bullying. In modern day society, different males who seek different paths from the typical stereotype end up with freedom but at a cost. There is a broader awareness in modern society that is was many years ago, even through some individuals still struggling with accepting this difference. This is called from the Cooper. Masculinity contributes to the race of a group of men who did not select their path but follow what was expected of them. Maybe the world would be a better place if they were left to decide their path. An emphasis on energy, strength, and sometimes sex drive as definition for men has led to the development of psychological problems when a male finds themselves inadequate of these state's expectations. There's too much pressure on what one should be doing or not. And since the modern day is emphasizing on the individually, the pressure collides with personal preference, hence creating psychological issue. Unfortunately, the end of masculinity as a definition of who a man it has resulted in issues like depression, rejection, and even mental breakdown. That's why there has been many articles and teaching on masculinity as a source of mental health in males. Many simple things are overlooked but cause mental issue among men. For instance, since society expects them to show courage by sprinting their emotions, men are unable to get help when they should. Most of them even avoid explaining themselves over a specific emotion issue, hence unable to get help. The inability to express themselves for fear of being termed weak also means that the man would look for alternative ways of dealing with their problem like drug abuse, violence, and antisocial behavior. This is a quote from Montero. Masculine norms were directly created with a comparison to feminine attributes. Boys are taught to be men, by directly pointing out the feminine characteristics that they should not do. This introduces conflicting feeling when one is pretty different. Like in the case of a transgender person, misconception on masculinity also has introduced the aspect of gays and queerness. The direct assumption when a male does not follow the masculine traits is that they are gay. Whether they are or not, those around them end up treating them differently. On a different note, there has also been a different influence on masculine and toxic masculine from the opposite gender. This is called from the house leader and a parrot. To appear appealing to the opposite gender, a boy is likely to get assumptions that they have to be manly. Women have been known to have different appearance attractiveness, including physical appearance, most of which are directly connected to the masculinity. In conclusion, masculinity is a wide subject that dates back to the beginning of time. Society that has been historically shaped by gender roles, which significantly contribute to masculinity. And of masculinity as a definition of who a man is has resulted in issues like depression, rejection, and even mental breakdown. Religion and culture setting contribute to the creation of masculinity and an instant toxic masculinity, while this set of behavioral expectations will innocently create a definition of man. They have contributed to rigorous assumptions that end up affecting the males in our society. At the end, here's my references. Thank you so much for the watching and participating in this interesting topic.